Welcome to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard. Very glad that you could join us once again. In this segment, I'm going to have a conversation with Kubtec CEO Vikram Butani and VP of Marketing John Leach. They're joining us on the program to talk about Mozart Specimen Tomosynthesis System. It's a technology that creates 3D images, enabling surgeons to better identify healthy tissue in breast cancer surgery. Welcome to the program, both Vikram and John. How are you both?
Good, thank you. Thank you very much for inviting us.
Well, Vikram, as CEO of Kubtec, tell me a bit about Kubtec.
So I founded Kubtec in 2005. Mm-hmm. At that point, I saw an opportunity to advance digital X-ray in the field of breast cancer specimen imaging, mm-hmm. which is used in the intraoperative imaging of excised breast tissue, which is the actual cancer that has been excised from the body. We are a small, dynamic organization. We are primarily focused on rapid innovation of proprietary technology. We have a number of patents specifically around specimen tomosynthesis of late. Our systems are primarily focused on the practice of surgical oncology, mm-hmm. In the OR, in pathology as well. Our goal is to provide solutions that improve the quality of care for breast cancer patients, mm-hmm. and make the process more efficient for the hospital and for the surgeons.
Now, John, these problems having to do with imaging when it relates to breast cancer, what is the biggest challenge that you're solving now?
Yeah, Neil, the main surgery that early stage breast cancer, the main surgical procedure that's used for patients with early stage breast cancer is a lumpectomy procedure. Mm-hmm. And this is where the surgeon removes precisely, or as precisely as they can, the tumor itself and leaves the healthy breast tissue behind. This is as effective as a mastectomy procedure, which is removing the whole breast. But it comes with better cosmetic results, but it comes with a risk. Mm-hmm. And that risk is that the surgeon might not be able to see all the cancer and then be aware that they've actually removed it all. So many patients aren't aware that in one out of 5 surgeries, the patient will have to come back for a second procedure because the surgeon was unsuccessful in removing all the cancer, mm-hmm. and some cells still remain. And for 20%, which is that rate, the average rate in the United States, and the median rate is actually 30%, is very traumatic for patients because that's the time when they're waiting for their results to be told whether or not their cancer has been removed. Mm-hmm. It's very expensive for the providers of the surgery. And we, along with many key opinion leaders, believe that this is unacceptable. Mm-hmm. In fact, in a recent paper, a meta-analysis study presented by Kazmarsky et al., they said that this was now considered to be a marker of low-value care. So this is something that's starting to resonate now with the surgical community, that something needs to be done about reducing re-excision rates for breast cancer surgery.
Now, I understand that Kubtec has developed the Mozart system. What is the Mozart system, and how does it help surgeons to better locate those cells and reduce significantly the trauma for a returning patient?
Yeah, the Mozart system uses a technology called tomosynthesis. And tomosynthesis is now established as the most accurate way to identify cancer in the world of screening mammography. And I think every patient over the age of 45 knows what that is. Every woman has experienced it. And this technology now is very precise in identifying where the cancer is and reducing ambiguous results. And so what we do is we bring that same technology in the Mozart system and we make it available to surgeons actually in the OR. And what happens is the surgeon, once they've removed the lump containing the cancer, simply puts the specimen inside the Mozart cabinet, which is a closed cabinet which uses the tomosynthesis technology. And Mozart creates 3D images of the surgical specimen. And this allows the surgeon to see in detail the exact location and character of the tumor, because the shape of the tumor and the way it extends throughout the specimen is important to understanding whether or not any is likely to have been left inside the patient. Using Mozart, they can see if all the tumor has been removed or if they need to take more tissue from the patient, and they can do that actually during the surgery itself. This enables the surgeon to precisely target the tumor and remove the diseased tissue and leave in as much healthy tissue as possible. And this, of course, leads to a better cosmetic result. You said earlier on that it identifies the healthy tissue, but the key here is that it enables the surgeon to differentiate between healthy tissue and diseased tissue.
Neil, in women's imaging, in the world of mammography, everybody has come to trust 3D mammography or tomosynthesis to help the radiologists find the cancer. What the Mozart does is brings that technology that represents the latest in the field of mammography to the OR, so that the surgeon can see with the same level of precision and accuracy the cancer that the radiologist had first seen in the mammogram. So there is a continuity in the quality of care provided to the patient.
Also, it alleviates coming back for a second surgery, even if the imaging finds that there's no way to save the entire breast. At least that is something that can be determined early on rather than by second or third surgery.
And that's exactly right, Neil. The key here is to know during that first surgery whether you need to take additional tissue, rather than wait until after the patient's been closed, they've gone home, and then the pathology department tells you that you should have done this. So you're absolutely right. It's knowing right there and then whether or not the procedure you've done is actually complete.
I just want to make sure that it doesn't eliminate, but definitely far reduces the probability of the patient having to come back.
The availability of the Mozart system, is it something that is readily available? Is it picked up and covered by most insurance companies? And is it something that easily lends itself to understanding by physicians who may be, set in their ways as far as mammography and imaging is concerned as it relates to breast surgery?
So the Mozart system is actually designed and built right here in Connecticut. And we have been installing these systems in hospitals around the U.S. and around the world for the last 2 years, a little over 2 years. We're a small company, and it's a process. It is available in most major metropolitan areas around the country, across Europe and parts of Asia. But there is still a long way to go for every hospital in the U.S. To have this technology available for their patients.
And as far as insurance payment is concerned, it's covered as part of the surgical procedure. So it's not something that any patients could be concerned about that their insurance doesn't cover it.
It doesn't cost the patient a penny more than what it would cost without the Mozart.
Okay.
So if anything, it helps the hospital reduce their cost because they don't have to do 2 procedures to take care of the same cancer. Mm-hmm. So there is no reason why the patient has to be concerned about any kind of additional insurance coverage requirements.
Vikram, does Kubtec involve itself in other types of oncology imaging, or is it strictly a breast cancer endeavor?
So our primary focus has been breast cancer, but we do build systems for pathology applications as well. And in pathology, they do use the Kubtec system for other imaging of other organs, bones, and tissue specimens.
Where can we go online and get some more information about Kubtec and about Mozart?
Neil, you can find us on our website, which is www.kubtec, that's KUBTEC.com. And you can navigate your way through that, and you'll find information on the Mozart, comments from surgeons on there, and the results of the recent clinical studies.
Vikram Butani, John Leach, thank you both for joining us here on Health Professional Radio. Vikram, CEO of Kubtec, and John, the Vice President of Marketing.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Neil. It's been a pleasure.
You've been listening to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard, in conversation with Vikram Butani and Mr. John Leach of Kubtec. Transcripts and audio of this program are available at hpr.fm and healthprofessionalradio.com.au. You can also subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, listen in, download at SoundCloud, and be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/healthprofessionalradio.